Raiders, who won the toss, Rich Carlos with the approach, and we're underway in Denver. Greg Pruitt out across the 15-yard line. So the 11-year veteran out of Oklahoma setting up 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Jim Plunkett at quarterback. Marcus Allen coming off his first 100-yard game of the season on Monday against Miami in the backfield with Kenny King. Cliff Branch, who has been dissatisfied that Plunkett has not been throwing his way. The tight end Todd Christensen has been seeing much of the action, and that offensive line anchored by the center Dave Dalby. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Plunkett to throw on 1st down, and going deep for the tight end. Intended for Christensen. Dennis Smith, the strong safety, number 49, got a piece of it to break it up.
You know, it's a strange feeling, but the last time, this game almost looks like a mismatch. As good as the Raiders have been playing, and as mediocre as the Broncos have been playing, and we do know they play pretty well at home. The last time it was this way, they got blown out of the tub, the Raiders did, by the Broncos. Stabler threw 7 interceptions, and those 4 linebackers were very instrumental.
And a look at the Denver secondary. Key injuries suffered by Denver defensively without Rulon Jones and without Bob Swenson now for a couple of weeks. Marcus Allen. Allen across the 25-yard line. So picked up 7. It'll be a 3rd down and 3. Tom Jackson in on the stop.
And Marcus Allen is some kind of treasure. He not only can run the ball as well as anybody in the game, but as a pass receiver, I don't think he has an equal as a back coming out of the backfield.
The ball is spotted at the 26-yard line. Caught on a 3rd down and 2. Allen. Randy Gradishaw on the stop. We'll have to check and see. It looks like the Raiders come up short, although they are calling for the yardstick.
It's a formality, Marv. They're definitely a foot short, maybe 2. You never can tell till you see the spot.
Oh, you're pulling back.
No, that spot's definitely short.
As I said, definitely short.
And here's little 3rd and 2. That's a difficult situation. He's got Marcus Allen, who made a pretty good block on the linebacker, but by the time Hanna tried to get to Gradishar, King was already there.
And Ray Guy is back at his 13-yard line. Ray had the back problems last year, his punting average dropping down. Average 47 against Miami on Monday night, and he is booting to Zach Thomas, the rookie from South Carolina State. An excellent Ray Guy hang time. Fair catch for Thomas. So Denver to the offense for the first time. It is a 30-yard punt, which really does not tell the story because it did not allow a run back. John Elway with Sammy Winder, who was held in check last week by the Eagles. 10 carries, 4 yards, along with Rick Parros in the backfield. The receivers up Church, Watson, and Jim Wright. Wright caught 4 last week against Philadelphia. And Studdard, Bishop, Bryant, Howard, and Lanier. They shift out of the eye. 1st down from the 32. Sammy Winder. Winder had some good days earlier in the season in the opener. 96 yards, 20 carries against Pittsburgh. Ted Hendricks right there to stop him.
And when you talk about the Raider defensive line, these fellas all play interchangeably depending on the situation. Long, Alzado, Townsend, and Piquel are a fierce pass rush when the 4 of them are in there together, but it might seem like you're going to get all 6 at once the way they've been playing.
Winder picked up 8. It's a 2nd down and 2. time, the Raider defense right there to stop Winder, led by Howie Long, number 75, and the Mad Stork, number 83, Ted Hendricks. It is short of a first. No, they say they picked it up. They did pick up the first down as you look at the rest of that Raider defense.
A couple of certain all-pros on the ends there, and Hendricks and Martin. Lester Hayes has been playing back to his form of a couple years ago.
All right, the back split now, and now Winder is flanked to the left. The lone deep back is Rick Parris. That's Parris. Rick Parris in his third year out of Utah State, averaging 3 yards per carry. Matt Millen and Mike Davis on the tackle. John Elway yet to put one up. Last week, 18 for 33, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And as we said at the top, showed some signs at the end, but also heard some boos.
What I like so far the best is that they're getting out of the huddle a whole lot quicker than they have been in the past 3 games, and that's very important for a young quarterback.
Second down 5, 47-yard line. Short setup for Elway. So he's 1 for 1 as he clicks with Rick Upchurch. And another first down for the Denver Broncos, a 15-yard pass play.
It's a little down and in. He knows he's got to get started with a quick pitch. Don't let those defensive linemen get in their starting blocks and get a sack early, get a completion. I've always thought that the best thing in the world for a quarterback to do to get people settled down is get a completion. I don't care if it's to your back for 4 yards or no gain. Get something on the board quick, and he did.
And now Elway with a first down at the Raider 38-yard line. That's Watson in motion. And Parris.
Handoff is Parris.
Stopped by Lyle Alzado and Bob Nelson. Lyle Alzado, who spent some of the glory years here with the Denver Broncos.
Well, the people in Denver know number 77 very well, but he is, in my opinion, the most durable defensive lineman that's played in this game for several years. He has played up at a level far superior to many defensive ends for an awful long time. Whenever he gets a little help, he'll show you what he can do. Now he's got some help in Piquel and Townsend, and they're awesome.
Crowd reacting. You may have heard it in the background to the announcement that it was Alzado on the stop. Second down 9. Nathan Poole is stopped.
And they're going to hear it again.
Yes. Lyle Alzado, who is down in the books this season for 4 sacks, he claims he has 5. So I think he'll be checking the films.
You ever hear a guy claim he's had less than he's been offered?
No.
I'll tell you, there were a few times in the Cup in the last few weeks when it looked like the whole bunch had a team meeting back there at the quarterback. So they have to divide them up in sections sometimes, and maybe he got slighted.
What's amazing about the Raider defensive record, they've given up 30 points in 3 games. Only 3 points have been allowed in the first half in those 3 games. Meaningless touchdown scored by Miami on Monday. Third down and 9. And Elway for Upchurch. The collision between Upchurch, McElroy, and Watts to break it up.
Then McElroy took both Watts and Upchurch out of that play.
However, there's a penalty marker thrown down. Rod Martin discussing it.
Holding number 54. Declined. 4th down.
So the hold is declined as announced by the referee Dick Jorgensen. And the punting unit makes its way onto the field for the Denver Broncos.
Let's take a look. You see Rick kind of breaks past Watts real early, but when John went to throw the ball, it looked to me like it floated on him. Never did have much zip on it, and because of that, I think McElroy was able to get in and break it up. Otherwise, it would have been 6.
All right, Greg Pruitt awaits this punt from Luke Prestridge. Looking to angle. So Prestridge able to angle it out. Penalty marker down. They are spotting it at the 14-yard line. It's a 23-yard punt angled out. And let's see, apparently the ball will be spotted at the 14. Plus a holding penalty.
They're about ready to break even on the play. You know, this is a sort of ball game, Marv. Sometimes early in the game, it's time to have a go at it. It's 4th down and 8 yards to go. If you have a chance and you have a play that you may be able to pick a first down up on 4th down, that might have been a perfect time to use it because they definitely are outmanned.
Chevy for defense from 75,000 here at Mile High. Jim Plunkett, who came off a very poor preseason to turn it around. This is Marcus Allen. Ankle tackled at the 12, so a 5-yard advance, and it's a 2nd down and 5. Steve Foley, the free safety, on the stop.
Okay, it looks like there are 4 down linemen. Now, Denver generally only uses 3 with linebackers in the gaps. This time, they used 4. Foley coming up to pursue from his free safety position made a fine play. It could have been a big game.
This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League and written consent of the Denver Broncos and the NFL is prohibited. Here's Allen. Out to the 15, Marcus Allen. Always runs with that dramatic flair. Stopped by Dennis Smith, the strong safety, and the outside linebacker, Jim Ryan, who has taken over for the injured Bob Swenson, another key injury suffered by Denver.
You can never afford an injury such as that to either Rulon Jones or Swenson. But I tell you what Denver does have and has had for quite a while. They've got defensive backs that are outstanding tacklers. Dennis Smith, Lewis Wright, Foley has been a good tackler for years, and Harden is coming along fast.
It's a 3rd down and 2 at the 15. And here's Plunkett. Intended for Allen. So the Denver defense holding the Raiders. And we'll see Ray Guy once again.
Really good defensive secondary coverage, Marv. Plunkett's back there. He's had to come off to Allen 2 or 3 times, and when he didn't, he really didn't have Todd Christensen open earlier in the ball game. There has been no one running free in that secondary.
And you see Ray Guy back at his goal line. He'll punt to Zach Thomas, free agent acquisition. He had a 42-yard kickoff return against Pittsburgh on opening day, so Zach can break him. Not what Guy had in mind, but gets a roll. So Ray Guy putting it across the 35-yard line. It's a 52-yard punt by Guy with the roll. From Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Denver has lost 4 straight here at home. That includes 3 last year, the longest such losing streak since they last lost 4 in a row back in 1972. Denver first down at their 33-yard line. That's Watson in motion. And here's Winder. Sammy Winder got a yard. Reggie Kinlaw and Rod Martin. What a game Martin had on Monday against Miami.
You know, it was noticed last Monday, but he's had so many good games throughout the years. In the previous 2 ball games this year, he was named the team captain. They think that much of him. Now, you know how Ted Hendricks has been to this group over the past several years and being the captain, but Rod Martin and Ted Hendricks on the same team have to be as good as any 2 have ever been on the same group, and that takes into account some awfully good linebackers.
He had 2 sacks, 8 tackles, the big hit to unleash Townsend. Again, Watson in motion, and Elway on the drop. Oh. What do you think, John?
That's the sort of thing John would like to have over. He made a good play. He's the kind of quarterback that's got a lot of nifty to him. He can get out of spots such as when there's a good pass rush. But when he does, it's what he does with the ball that's going to dictate, you know, the way he's feeling and how comfortable he is. That ball he threw off the wrong foot at the wrong time to a receiver that was wide open, and it actually stopped their drive. It looked like Winder would pick up a certain first down.
Was the Denver offense too complex for a rookie like Elway? I know that Dan Reeves has gotten away from the complicated system.
Well, what he's doing is he's getting the plays called quicker, which has given John a much better chance. I don't think it's too complex. The same plays are called by every team. It's just the nomenclature that can be a little tough.
Intended for Steve Watson. Covered by the free safety, McElroy, and the quarterback, Watts.
Take a look. Here's a man a lot of people have been talking about from TCU, Greg Townsend. Real fast at 250 pounds. Strong as he's strong as can be, but Lanier took good care of him on that play.
And Luke Prestridge back to punt for the second time this afternoon. Greg Pruitt, there he is, back at his 20-yard line. No score halfway through the first quarter. And Pruitt able to recover. Little spinning tackle out at the 33-yard line by Keith Bishop. So there's a timeout. It's a 37-yard punt. When we return, it'll be Raiders to the offense. KOTI to NBC, serving the Southern Oregon and Northern California regions. We welcome you, fellas. We hope you're enjoying the game. First down from the 33 for the Los Angeles Raiders. Plunkett again to throw. First down. And he tried to lob it off to Kenny King.
Maybe he threw it too hard for him. I'm telling you, Plunkett has more motions than any quarterback's ever played the game. It's liable to come out of his hip pocket someday. This time he knows he's trying to go downfield. He's very nifty back there. He's like tackling a flat rock for openers. And then when you do hit him, he's usually as strong as you are. This ball, he just is taking as much off it as he can. King can't quite handle it. Big play going for naught.
And Denver doing some shuffling. Up front, they have Walt Boyer, number 65, a rookie out of Arizona State, and along with Carter, Latimer, and Manor. Much time for Plunkett. Oh, beautiful catch, but short of the first down. Again, the tight end, Todd Christensen, who leads the club in receptions. He caught 6 last Monday against the Dolphins.
Got a good spot, and he's got about a foot to go for a first down.
It'll be a third and about a foot.
Let's take a look at what Plunkett is seeing here. He's got a double zone coverage, 5 men underneath, 2 in the deep zones. He's got enough time to look around, finally finds Christensen on the right side, almost a first. Here they are.
And the crowd urging on the Denver defense. This is Marcus Allen, first down and some more. Out near midfield. Allen on the slant. Stopped by Randy Gradishar.
Here is a man that changed the franchise around. He started last year against the against the San Francisco 49ers, gained 124 yards in his opening day, and has picked up ever since. I think he is the premier back in this game right now, and that's saying quite a bit. But with 2 real good pass rushers and 1 great running back, the Raider franchise has changed drastically.
And he has given them a first down at the 49-yard line. Play action for Plunkett. And he's throwing to an offensive lineman.
Well, he threw to 2 of them. Take your pick.
Bruce Davis, number 79, was the intended receiver.
You know what's funny is I know that Jim just says to his backs, hey, after you block, just slide out. When I'm in trouble, just kind of fade away, and I'll find one of you. That time he had both backs out of the backfield, so he had nobody to slide off. Here's Kenny King going up, trying to help him on the inside, so he's not really available for much help. He's trying to get to the outside. Bruce Davis did a good job just to fall on it. It looked like it could have been a lateral.
Tough picking up the call from the referee, Dick Jorgensen. But it will be a 2nd and 10 at the 49-yard line.
Why is it 2nd and 10? Did they pick those up?
We'll have to check it out. We're having some audio problems down on the field. All right, here's Plunkett. And picked up by Steve Foley. So Foley on the intercept, his 2nd of the season, and the Broncos will take over. Kenny King making the tackle on Foley. A timeout called. It'll be Denver ball when we return. The ball. First down at the 45-yard line. Sandy Winder and Rick Parros are the setbacks. Steve Watson in motion. Look out. Elway able to elude the rush. Incomplete. The hard hit by the strong safety Mike Davis on the intended receiver, Steve Watson.
Yeah, but a guy of Steve Watson's ability catches 90% of those and should have had that one. When you have nobody in between the thrower and the receiver, coming from the back shouldn't bother a real top receiver, and it hasn't bothered Watson very often. Elway makes a nice play to just to get around Rod Martin. When he does, makes a perfect throw, all for naught.
That penalty a moment ago, in which we had an audio problem with the referee's microphone, ineligible receiver, the offensive lineman Davis. Sammy Winder is tripped up at the 45-yard line, and the penalty was declined, setting up that second and 10.
Look at this. Dallas ekes out again. It looked like New Orleans had him, let him off the hook, but I guess it's not quite over. So.
And Cincinnati with its first victory of the season. Tampa Bay is now 0-4. St. Louis beating Philadelphia. It's an odd score.
Yes, it is.
And Buffalo clobbering Houston. So the Oilers at 0-4. Minnesota beating Detroit. Third down and 9 from the 46-yard line. And Upchurch on a reverse. Does not work. We were told that Denver might go for several gadget-type plays today. We may see much of the arsenal against the Raiders.
Well,
Lester Hayes had that one right on target.
The problem with a play like that, there has to be some flow going in the other direction. Now, when it's a passing situation, as that one was, there isn't going to be anybody fooled with a drop-back pass. Everybody's going in their area. The problem, they got the guards out in front of it, and they didn't hit anybody. That's why Rick was called for no gain.
So 3.5 left first quarter with no score. Here's Greg Pruitt awaiting the Luke Prestridge punt. Pruitt back at his 10. High snap for Prestridge and boots it from his 40-yard line. Again angling, but this one carries in.
Marv, that's 3 times excellent field position. Denver has been able to make nothing of it. That won't last all day.
A 52-yard punt by Prestridge. So the Raiders will take over at their 20-yard line. Next Saturday, start the day with Major League Baseball, an inside look as we continue to follow the pennant races, and then the baseball game of the week as the pennant races come to a close, and NBC will be right there for the key games. Next Saturday here on NBC Sports. LA Raiders first down at their 20-yard line, 3:10 left, first quarter, no score here in Denver. And Plunkett to throw on first down again, going deep. And he had Malcolm Barnwell out in the clear. Mike Harden was left behind.
Well, Malcolm Barnwell will come down with most of those balls, but when Harden fell down, the two of them ran into each other unintentionally, and it knocked Barnwell off balance. As a result, he could not gather himself to get the ball. It was very frustrating for him, I'm sure, but Plunk makes a beautiful throw. This ball could have been taken on the dead run. It's up in the air. You're throwing it in this real thin air, so it's really hard to judge. He actually would have hit him on the dead run had he not fallen down.
Plunkett is now 2 for 8, intercepted one time as a second down and 10. Frank and Barnwell are the receivers. That's Barnwell in motion. And this is Allen. Hit behind the line, back behind the 20 by the outside linebacker, number 50. There he is, Jim Ryan, in his 5th year out of William & Mary.
Hey, all 4 of those linebackers, it seems like whoever they insert as a new linebacker, and we know so much about Gradishar and Jackson. Now with Busick and Ryan coming into the act, they're playing right up to the level of the other two. We've seen it for years. Okay, pretty good blocking at the point of attack, but when your linebacker slips underneath, as we see Todd Christensen, the tight end, number 46, gets his block, but the linebacker slipped underneath and stopped the play for no gain.
Todd in his 5th year out of Brigham Young. delighted about the fortunes of Brigham Young yesterday afternoon. 3rd down and 10. Plunkett in trouble. So the Broncos coming up with their first sack combination of Reuben Carter, the nose tackle, and Grayson Manor. So once again, the Bronco defense looking sharp, stopping the Raiders.
Well, they're mixing up their defense. Sometimes they come with 5, sometimes with 4. This time they just did it with a pass rush line, 4 down linemen. They don't usually do that. They usually rush 3. If they're coming with 4 quite a bit today, it's given the offensive line a little problem, and Plunkett more yet.
And the Broncos have had to shuffle even more because Barney Chavis, we're told, has a pulled hamstring, and he is out right now. Here's Ray Guy. Zach Thomas, 40-yard line. And out to the 44. So Guy, with a 46-yard punt, he has been unleashing them. Jim Davis on the stop, but a flag is thrown.
Now, the Broncos have had excellent field position. This is the 4th time in a row. You'd expect some points to be placed on the board normally in situations like that. I think right now it's more the Broncos' ineptness than it is the Raiders' ability.
And you know, it's been a low-key season thus far penalty-wise for the Raiders. Things are going so well, even penalties have dropped off. Only 16 penalties compared to 33 a year ago have been assessed to the Raiders through the first 3 games. All right, someone left too soon.
4th down.
And they're going to do it over. Also a penalty called on the Broncos. So offsetting penalties, and Guy will kick again. You know, the Raiders have not yet been hit with a personal foul this year.
Well, they've always been a clean bunch of kids. So, you know, the cleanest on the block. I really think that, you know, because they wear black jerseys doesn't necessarily make them bad boys. I happen to think they're a great football team. I don't know how dirty they are.
Well, they have that reputation, but they've been clean. And a beautiful punt by Guy. And does not allow the return. Zach Thomas chasing it down, and it skipped away, and they're marking it at the 16-yard line. Again, a flag down. We have that as a 60.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 52, kicking team.
Well, there's the first.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 52, kicking team. Penalties offset. Happened
Well, that
after the
was the first.
First down.
The first personal foul call on the Raiders.
All you have to do is mention it, right, Marv?
But again, once again, a penalty also called on Denver, so they offset. Baltimore leading Chicago. Rams and Jets are tied at 7 at Shea in New York. Cleveland in front of San Diego.
Brian Sipe having another good year.
Washington leading Seattle. There's Winder. So a 2-yard pickup. Reggie Kinlaw on the stop of Winder. It'll be a 2nd down and 8. And now the word that Ray Guy's punt went 57 yards. That is the official count. He's having quite a first quarter.
You said that right. He's had a lot of great first quarters.
But as mentioned before, coming off what was for Ray Guy a so-so season because of the back problem.
Right.
Less than a minute remaining. First quarter, no score. Nathan Poole now in the backfield with Sammy Winder. This is Poole. And Elway had to improvise on that one as he hit Nathan Poole.
That's the kind of ability that you can't teach. I mean, here's a kid whose reactions are so fast that he sees a blitzing linebacker, has no chance to get around him, yet stands up right in his face and throws the ball over the top of his head. Now that's Ted Hendricks. He's not only batted a lot of balls down, but quarterbacks with him. He had the nerve to stand in there in front of it, move a little, complete the ball. That's a great play.
So John Elway able to hit Poole for the first down. It's a first down at the 29-yard line. Denver Broncos come in at 2-1. Lost to the Eagles last week. Victories over Pittsburgh and Baltimore. This first quarter has come to a close. Denver and neither club really able to get going. Scoreless first quarter. John Elway now 2 for 7, 27 yards, has a first down at the 29. Sammy Winder. Nice change of direction. Stopped by Van
There goes Alzado.
Yep, look out. Lyle Alzado getting involved with a couple of Broncos.
It's the center, Bishop.
And Lyle, who heard it from the crowd earlier when they announced his name on his first tackle of the day, is hearing it once again.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, Marv, is Keith Bishop, starting at the guard position, made a block on him, ran him down the field about eight yards, and maintaining his block, and no defensive end really likes that. Lyle got a little physical with him. He didn't cowtail to him. He just took after him, and a fight was the result.
Lyle Alzado, a member of the 1977 Broncos that went to the Super Bowl.
Foul, roughness, 77. Defense, personal foul, roughness, 54.
So the personal fouls on both Keith Bishop, a third-year man out of Baylor, and Lyle Alzado, the one-time Denver Bronco.
Yep. So I think the ball's going to go back, and they're going to play it all over. If that happens, that's just like penalizing the Broncos. We'll see. They didn't. They left it right where the play ended. It was after the play, and they didn't make a penalty.
All right, so the official ruling that it did occur clearly after the play. That's the interpretation, not a continuation.
Lyle got off lucky.
Second down and 1. At the 38, Nathan Poole is the lone D-back. Winder in the slot. And here's Watson in motion. This is Poole. And he has the first down. Hard driving Nathan Poole in his 4th season out of Louisville. Stopped by the linebacker, Bob Nelson. Baltimore Colts now lead the Chicago Bears 16-6 in the 4th quarter. That is an improved Baltimore team, as we saw against Denver 2 weeks back. Washington leading Seattle. Redskins will take on the Raiders at RFK in Washington next week. First down at the 41. Marv Albert, John Brody, Denver, Colorado. We're early second quarter. Off the draw, Sammy Winder. Davis, the strong safety, on the tackle.
Real good running by Winder. You can see even on a 1st and 10, those defensive linemen say, hey, let's get to the quarterback. We'll make something happen. A good play can be a draw even if you haven't thrown the ball when you've got guys in their starting blocks on every down.
Winder back in sync after he was held in check by the Eagles last week after the good games against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Second down and 3 after the 7-yard pickup by Winder. Play action, and Elway is swarmed under. First sack of the day by the Raiders. Lyle Alzado.
He's loving it.
That's out of the Mark Gastineau highlight film.
I think what that is just a little reminder to the people that maybe they shouldn't have rid themselves of Mr. Alzado. He loved it here in Denver. He's playing just as well as he ever did. Got right by Winder. That was not a very good block for a back. You've got to get help to your backside, and sometimes when it's the back's turn, they've got to pitch in.
So Lyle now has 5, although he will claim he has 6 sacks. Third down and 10. Back at the 41.
He'll probably claim that Keith Bishop also held him.
Too much time. Delay of game. This is a problem that the Denver Broncos have faced throughout the season.
Delay. Offense. Still third down.
We talked about their delay problem, Marv, when they were in Baltimore, and Dan Reeves is aware of it, and they have handled it pretty well by sending in the formation real early, getting the plays done real early. This is the first time they violated that or had that problem in 2 games, and I think you'll see a lot less of it.
All right, the rookie Clint Sampson out of San Diego State, flank wide to the right. Elway goes the middle, beautiful catch. Zach Thomas on the reception, but short of a first down.
Zach Thomas.
Otis McKinney, the nickel back,
Short of the first down.
on the stop.
This is the kind of ball that John will be throwing a little less hard in the future. Now, right now, I think a lot of his balls are being thrown with a little too much velocity on them. You can see he's firing that ball a little harder than he has to. It makes it very difficult on a receiver coming across the middle to get his control of the ball and pick up the first.
So Luke Prestridge for the 4th time today. He's back at his 31-yard line. Rick Pruitt is back deep. And a beautiful Denver hop to put the Raiders in a hole inside their 5. 49-yard punt by Prestridge. Earlier this week, and Bill Harpo, the Denver equipment manager, usually likes to design what he labels a bizarre setting for the team photo. So I don't see anything wrong, though, with what the man did, John. Do you?
Some guys said you look better.
Several guys. Plural. Back to the field quickly. So the 49-yard punt by Prestridge, putting the Raiders back a first down at the 4-yard line. Penalty markers down as the play is stopped.
False start, number 79. Offense.
And the false start called on the left tackle, Bruce Davis.
Well, the Raiders offensively have got to get something going, because not only is Denver flat offensively, but the Raiders have been able to do nothing against the Bronco defense. And you know that a group as explosive as the Raiders are not going to be held in check all day long, but you get to wonder with the ease that the Bronx are doing it.
Coming into today's play, the Denver defense, overall number 6 in the AFC. And they have played very well this first half. Kenny King unable to get outside. Could not make the turn against number 31, the quarterback, Mike Harden.
And that's a big couple of yards, Marv. If you can keep a team inside their 2-yard line, that's a lot different than just inside the 5. The reason being, when they go to punt, they're only going to have about 10 yards. They've got to get it off very quick, and a block is a good possibility.
Second down and 12, back at the 2. And again, in fact, Marcus Allen nearly got caught back behind the goal line. Again, the Denver defense swarming all over the Raiders.
That's a couple of ex-teammates. Dennis Smith helping Marcus Allen out. I can remember the day that Ronnie Lott, another ex-teammate of Marcus, said, "I can hardly wait to play the man because I would like to give him one good hit just for respect." Well, if you can give him any, it's a pretty tough trick. I can remember watching the whole day, and Lott forgot to get him.
And a third down at about 12.
It's heating up.
Now King on the slant. And Ray Guy will have to boot it out of his end zone.
Don Latimer going to lead next year, but 72 in the middle of that line. It's pretty tough to move people around.
And Ray Guy is about as deep as he can go. He is underneath the goalpost. Zach Thomas at midfield. Guy gets a beauty off. Here's Thomas. Out to the 45-yard line, but once again, at a penalty marker throw. Once again, Denver has the good field position. A 46-yard punt by Guy. James Davis on the stop of Thomas.
And it looks like the Broncos are going to be aided by a penalty. Squarick came down there, and it looked like he took a shot at Thomas. We're going to have to wait and see, but that's what it appeared to me.
As the officials talk things over. Today, a matchup of two original AFL clubs. This is a series that began back in 1960, and the Raiders with a commanding lead. They've won 32. Denver's won 11. There have been two ties. This game reminiscent of the game that took place here back in 81 when Denver won by the score of 9-7.
I was wrong, Marv.
All right, here is Dick Jorgensen.
Illegal block in the back. Number 45, receiving team, first down.
So the penalty called on Steve Wilson for the illegal block. And Denver will take over with 5.5 minutes gone by, second quarter. Colorado sellout crowd, 75,000 on hand. What should the Broncos do right here?
Well, it's funny. Everybody's got their own viewpoint, Marv. They haven't done much. I think you take on their best defensive player. I think it's Lester Hayes, and we haven't seen anything going in his area.
You're saying go right at Hayes.
Well, we'll get to it in a second.
All right, here's Elway looking the other way, and it's ruled. Let's see. Do they rule it a sack or a fumble? Now it's a sack. Ted Hendricks. Sacked by Hendricks. I thought a little hesitation by the official.
Well, I think he thought it was a fumble, and Ted Hendricks didn't think so or didn't see the ball, one or the other. As you see, when Hendricks gets there before John can even set up, they just fool you defensively. Now, he probably didn't see the ball. He sees it gone right now. He's looking around. He almost falls all over it, but the ball gets out from under him. The Broncos recover. I mentioned something about picking on Lester Hayes. You're never going to pick on him, but you're going to get one-on-one coverage. And if you can't beat one-on-one coverage, it's going to be a long day. I would at least give it a try.
Well, Elway now has a second and very long. And Sammy Wider did not fool the Raiders off the draw.
Nope. Archie Reese made a real fine play. Since coming from the 49ers, he straightened himself out. He's playing good football. We showed you all 6 of those defensive linemen at the outset of the ball game, and they all contribute.
Archie Reese, a member of the Super Bowl San Francisco 49ers, released by the 49ers last year. 6th year out of Clemson, where he was a walk-on.
And that's Earl Leggett, the defensive line coach, smiling. He's had a smile on his face ever since McKellen Townsend walked into camp.
It is a third down and 23 back at the 32. It is picked off by McElroy. Van McElroy. Elway looking to air it out, and McElroy with the interception, and we have words between several Raiders and Broncos.
And a penalty back here, so we'll have to wait to see. It's back there where the quarterback was throwing the ball, so you know what it usually is. John fired that ball right into McElroy. Oh.
Holding, number 60, offense, decline, first down.
Paul Howard, the right guard, called for the hold. So the Raiders take over on the interception with 7 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in what has been a scoreless first half. Thank you, Lennon. Back here in Denver. Off the interception by Van McElroy. The Raiders taking over at the Denver 36-yard line. Spinning move by Allen, stopped by Randy Grattershaw.
Okay, the Raiders have been up to the task. Every time the Broncos have had good field position, they've kept them from getting any points on the board. This is the first good field position for the Raiders.
That'll be a 2nd down and 9 from the 35-yard line. John, you'll explain
That's in code. I don't.
Yeah, you'll explain that possession chart, I know, a little bit later on. Allen and King are the running backs. And Plunkett has his man, Cliff Branch, for the touchdown. So Cliff Branch, who was outspoken, particularly during preseason, in fact, he said he felt Mark Wilson should be the starter rather than Plunkett. Now Cliff is all smiles.
Yeah, I don't understand why a guy would come out and make a statement like that about a teammate who has taken him as far as Jim Plunkett has. I mean, if you take a look at how many ball games he's been in a row where they have won, I mean, 8 out of 9 last year. They've won them all this year. And Branch has helped. That's true. But how many quarterbacks are going to put the ball where that ball was thrown? And he does it whenever Cliff gets open deep.
All right, Chris Barr, who has had a rocky season, but it has not mattered because they have not needed his leg, able to put it through. He's missed 2 extra points, and he's missed 3 field goals. And he has just given the Raiders a 7-0 lead. Incidentally, Branch now says he is very pleased that Plunkett is the starting quarterback.
Good.
Touchdown reception of the season. Right here, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KCRA-TV, Channel 3, Sacramento.
A deep kickoff by Chris Barr, not allowing the return. Zach Thomas staying in his end zone.
That may be the first ball that Chris Barr has ever kicked out of the end zone. They've talked about the strength in his leg. Early in the year, he kicked a couple in the end zone against Cincinnati, but that baby was clearly out of it. I know the air's thin, but that was a long one.
And the scoring drive that was set up by the interception by McElroy. So the Raiders now lead it 7-0 on the 35-yard pass play. 1st and 10 for Denver at their 20-yard line. Watson in motion. And Elway to the ground. And the Denver offense going nowhere. Rick Barros stopped easily. The Denver Bronco offense last in the National Football League in 5 different categories. First downs per game, average yards per game, third down efficiency, average gain per play, average gain per pass. In other words, John, they've been going nowhere.
That cannot be placed on number 7's shoulders either, because there are certain things that I think he's having a little problem with. But his personnel is not up to the top teams in this league. Their defense is great. It's been carrying them, but they need more offensive personnel.
Needs more weapons.
That's right.
This is Poole, and he has the first down. Nathan Poole stopped by Matt Millen. A 14-yard pickup. So a first down at the 34-yard line. Over the first couple of games, and we saw Elway against Baltimore, there was the feeling he was aiming the ball, that he may have been tight. You see better throwing motion?
I don't think he's as good as it'll be. I don't think it's John Elway relaxed and raring to go like I've seen him over the past several years, but I think it's better than it was in Baltimore.
Nice move by Winder. Sammy Winder coming off an excellent rookie year. And he alternated with Dave Preston and Gerald Wilhite. Wilhite has been out. He led the team in rushing in preseason. He's on injured reserve with a hamstring. He is eligible to return next week, but that is uncertain.
Well, they need a Gerald Wilhite because he is a dimension coming out of the backfield as a pass receiver at San Jose State. Remember, he played for John's father, Jack, and they do throw the ball around down there at San Jose State.
Elway with time. Watson. First down. Oh, he's out of bounds.
Well, I think we may see that was a nice hometown call.
Well, that's right. They called it inbounds. So it is a first down. Let's go to our studios in New York. Inbounds on the reception. First down at the 46 of the Raiders. And Winder hit back at the line. Archie Reese on the tackle. Winder tried the stutter step off the circular movement, but could not find a hole, so it'll be a 2nd and 10. Archie Reese, whose name has been called frequently in this first half. Raiders continue to shuffle defensively as they rotate among Long and Kinlaw and Alzado and Townsend, Piquel, and Reese. And here's Winder. Winder for a first down.
That goes down as yardage picked up rushing. All right, they've run 3 draw plays, and those have been their big gainers. It is a little misleading when you say we picked up this much ground on the ground. They're beating the Raiders at their pass rush. They're trying to slow it down a little bit. This is as good a way as I know. They have been effectively keeping this drive alive.
McElroy and Barnes on the stop. 10-yard advance by Winder. First down at the 35-yard line. Now Winder and Paros, the running backs. A reverse for Upchurch. And he throws one for Watson.
I'll tell you, Lester Hayes knows what he's doing back there. He was standing waiting on that play from the time it was given to Rick Upchurch. Now, Upchurch has got a fine arm, but you would think he'd be a little concerned about an end around. That's the second one they've run. He's back there watching Watson from the time the ball was centered. That's alert defensive secondary play. Okay, here they flip it out, a little pitch to Paros. Paros hands it back to Upchurch. Now he's going against the flow. Nelson wasn't fooled, number 51, but the man that was just waiting on the play was Lester Hayes down here.
Well, we mentioned earlier that Dan Reeves might go to the gimmick, the gadget plays, and we've seen several already. 2nd down and 10.
2nd and 10 is a tough time to run gadget plays.
All right, Elway now for Winder. And Sammy Winder ruled out of bounds at the 27, so 2 yards short of a first down. Just under 4 minutes left. First half, 7-0 Raiders as we check the scoreboard. Colts maintaining the lead over the Bears, now 19-12. Rams in front of the Jets, 14-7 of the second.
John Robinson is doing pretty well, isn't he?
And that will not be a friendly crowd in terms of the Jets. If the Rams continue to maintain that lead. 3rd down, 2. This is Paros for the first down. Inside the 25. Matt Millen, Lester Hayes on the cover-up. Now let's go to NFL 83 in New York. All right, so the Orioles have won the American League East.
And Denver has picked up their first 3rd down conversion.
That's a first down at the 23. That's Watson in motion. He's being waved by Elway. And that's a mix-up. The tight end, Jim White, not able to throw on it. And the Raiders do. Looks like a broken play.
Well, there's players thrown all over the field back there, but whenever you have a play that's where you've got to wave somebody in motion, you know things are a little confusing. They're trying to get the ball off before the 30-second clock goes down again. They've had one of those already today, and Sammy Winder is down. They can nil afford to lose him. Elway got his hat handed to him as he was trying to hand the ball off, and they lost it on top of that. So that kind of won't get it. Look at this. You can tell when this starts, you're in trouble, folks. Now everybody for himself, right? Whoops. Mike Davis was on a safety blitz. He got to Elway before he could hand the ball off, and Piquel recovers the fumble.
A rookie out of Rutgers, Bill Piquel, who has played so well, coming up with the fumble recovery. Broncos turning it over for the 2nd time. Winder shaken up as he heads back to the bench, and the Raiders will take over at their 34-yard line. 2 minutes, 58 seconds remaining first half off the 35-yard Plunkett to Branch touchdown. It's the Raiders 7, Broncos nothing. National Football League.
When Jim Plunkett says life is what you make it, he means it. He's made quite a bit out of it. As his career was going downhill after 10 years, he jumped back about as well as anybody ever has at that position, and he's loving it now.
And Plunkett with the handoff to Allen. Marcus Allen across the 40-yard line. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle. Randy Gratishai, the linebacker, combining on the stop. So 7-yard advance, 2nd down and 3 at the 41. Marcus Allen averaging 4.5 per carry. In the backfield now, along with Kenny King. And Allen again. Showing good balance. It appeared the Broncos had him down, and he was able to recover. Then Walt Boyer, a 10th round draft pick out of Arizona State, number 65, making the stop.
And he made a fine stop, but it was like Tom Jackson just stuffed the play at the line of scrimmage. Now he had a blocker in his face, which is why he couldn't get his arms around Allen. But their linebacker play is something to watch.
And it is just short. So it'll be 3rd down and less than a yard. And the fan they call the Barrel Man races around to the various sections here at Mile High Stadium and leads cheers. He now has the chant of defense going.
And I hope they're listening.
Denver Broncos have allowed only 33 points in 3 games. So the defense has played well. The problem has been offensively thus far this season. And it's a 1st down. Allen, very active on this series, has picked it up. And we approach the 2-minute warning. Here it is. It's the Los Angeles Raiders leading the Denver Broncos 7-0, and we'll be back in a moment. Alum by the name of John Elway.
Yeah, he knows it's tough, and there's an awful lot of heat on him back here, and we've gone over all that.
All the scores and highlights from around the league coming up at halftime on NFL 83. And the players whistle dead. Walt Boyer, the rookie from Arizona State, on the sack.
That amazed me because Jim evidently didn't see him, and he was coming right in his face. Now, normally if a guy hits you blind, it's from the backside, but take a look. Plunkett, he is looking down the field. He has no attention on the line. Now he's looking down. You would think something would tell him somebody's coming. It didn't. Now he knows, a little late.
2nd time that Plunkett has been sacked. And it sets it back to a 2nd down and 20 at the 37. Raiders 7, Broncos nothing. Here's Allen. Marcus Allen stopped by Steve Wilson. And a timeout being called by the Raiders. A minute and 25 left in this first half. And up coming at halftime, along with rundown of scores from around the NFL, we'll be taking.
And he made sure that he went and let the front office of the Broncos know that.
3rd down and long for Plunkett. In trouble. The screen. And Allen is hit across the 40-yard line. So the Broncos played it well. Lewis Wright. And the nickelback, Roger Jackson, on the stop. I could just see if that were in the contract of Steve DeBerg here with Denver. Suddenly, if Elway got hurt, you'd see Gary Kubiak starting games. Gary is the 3rd-string quarterback, and then DeBerg would come on.
I understand. Jimmy Plunkett, he's had one good play for a touchdown. Other than that, it's been kind of slim.
A lot of Stanford folks out here today.
Yeah, one's a little long of tooth, I'd say, but...
Isn't that a shot of John Brody from his college days at Stanford?
You got it. I'm glad they put Albert in there and Garrett. At least I feel at home.
Talking about Frankie Albert.
You got it.
So a pretty good group of first-round draft picks among the quarterbacks who have played at Stanford.
And they've got a young one. They've got a young one down there at Stanford now, John Pay, who is a freshman. And he's taken his lumps, just as Elway is in his first year in the National Football League, but he's going to follow right along in the footsteps of Elway.
A minute 5 remaining in this first half. And Ray Guy will punt for the first time today. It'll be Rick Upchurch as the deep man. Dan Reeves has not used Upchurch very much this season. Did not use him at all in the first game on punt returns.
I do not think, Marv, that you will see the Broncos open up and get too wild at this stage. There's less than a minute, 59 seconds left in the half. A turnover would certainly be turned into points for the Raiders. And the way they've been playing offense, I think there's a much better chance of a turnover than there are 3 points. So we'll see what Dan decides to do.
34-yard punt for that man, Ray Guy. It's spotted at the 24. And the Broncos trailing by the score of 7-0. First down at their 24. 59 seconds left in the half. Winder and now Preston in the backfield. Dave Preston, a solid pass receiver. Penalty marker down.
Holding on.
And Elway was nearly picked off again. Ted Hendricks had a shot at it.
And he really got hit by Pickell. He moved out of the pocket, tried to hang in there a little bit long, put something on the ball, and he really got labeled.
Rick Townsend went over to check and see how Elway is.
Well, he's not okay, I'll tell you that. All you have to do is stay with the quarterback. Don't take a look at the ball. He gets the ball off, stands right in the face of Pickell, number 71, who comes around as a block offensively. Very clean hit, but a very vicious one.
And a timeout is called by Denver. Bill Pickell, the rookie from Rutgers.
You can see Steve DeBerg's got his helmet on. I do not expect that the Broncos will try to do much from where they are now.
And here comes DeBerg, who has become a favorite because he has come out of the bullpen on 2 occasions and has won games for Denver, but that is usually the case around the NFL. Incredible how the man coming off the bench, be it second or third string, is usually the crowd favorite.
Well, yeah, he is till they start him.
Right.
Then they try to run him out of town. I know how that game works.
From personal experience.
It's just stand up and have a go at it. Don't let those things interfere with your thinking, but sometimes it does. It's easy to say, sometimes it does. I think everybody has a natural tendency to enjoy being liked, and they're used to being liked, and all of a sudden you see it go the other way, you don't like it.
Off the holding penalty, a first down and 20 from the 14. Nice play action for Winder. Sandy Winder running it across the 32-yard line. The strong safety, Mike Davis, on the stop. And timeout is called with 45 seconds remaining in the half. Steve DeBerg did not play at all last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, we're having problems with the microphone on the referee, Dick Jorgensen, who called the offside against the Raiders, which was declined by the Broncos. Steve DeBerg thus far this season 68%. Has thrown 2 touchdowns. Came off the bench to beat the Steelers and the Colts. 2nd down and 2. And a bird. Incomplete. Sammy Winder should have had it. Lester Hayes on the coverage along with Rod Martin. And the bird gets popped right here.
Yeah, it's nothing personal, Marv. When you have that ball in your hand, everybody's fair game. Here comes the other rookie, Greg Townsend. Just gets to him. They throw those quarterbacks around like they were bouncing balls.
Townsend, a 4th-round draft pick out of Texas Christian. Pickell, a 2nd-round pick out of Rutgers. 3rd down and 2. 40 seconds left in the half. Raiders 7, Broncos nothing. Flag down. And a hold called against Denver. Looked to be Dave Studdard, the left tackle.
Holding, number 70, offense, decline, 4th down.
Well, it was Studdard in his 5th season out of Texas, called for the hold.
Well, it's pretty tough to keep somebody off the quarterback when he's trying to send a receiver down there 20 yards without grabbing a hand in there somewhere. Now it's 4th down. A good punt return could put the Raiders in a position to pick up 3 points. 34 seconds left in the half.
And Luke Prestridge is back at his 12-yard line, punting for the 5th time. Greg Pruitt is back. And Pruitt trying to cover up. And he does. 26 seconds remaining in the first half. A 42-yard punt by Prestridge. And both Prestridge and Guy have had enjoyable first halves. In fact,
they've had a lot of action, too. You don't see Greg Pruitt miss very many balls. He missed one earlier in the ball game. This is the 2nd muff he's had. And he's fortunate he got on both of them.
Thin air must be appreciated by Prestridge. He improved his punting average a good 5 yards as opposed to his individual game averages against Pittsburgh and Baltimore on the road.
Talked to him before the ball game, and he said it adds a little, but I'm a great kicker.
All right, Plunkett unleashing for Allen. Marcus Allen to the 30. Mike Harden running him out, down to 18 seconds remaining in the half. Raiders now go with Cliff Branch, Malcolm Barnwell, and Calvin Muhammad as their receivers. 2nd down and 5 is coming up at the 31. Raiders at 3-0, beating Miami this past Monday night. Beating Houston and Cincinnati. They've allowed only 30 points in 3 games. Clear-cut #1 defensively in the league. They've allowed only 3 points in 3 games in the first half. Here's Allen. Short pickup. And the clock is running. Walt Boyer on the tackle. And a timeout is called by the Raiders with 6 seconds remaining in the half.
1 play left. Everybody out for a long one.
Here's the final score.
Last season, Raiders had the best record in the AFC at 8-1, but lost to the Jets in the playoffs, turning it from that 7-9 season back in 1981. A reminder, beginning on Tuesday, October the 4th, stay right here at NBC for all of the excitement of the American and National League Championship Series. Coverage beginning Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at the home of the National League West Division winner. So stay with us for all of the exciting playoff action in both leagues right here on NBC Sports. And as Len Berman told us earlier, Baltimore Orioles clinching the American League East earlier today. So the Orioles and the White Sox will go in the American League playoff series.
Taking a look at Johnny, still looks a little bit groggy. You don't just come back in a flash from those kind of licks. And I think it's a wise choice to wait till halftime when somebody can see whether or not he is capable of playing in the second half.
All right, 6 seconds left. Final play of the half, and here's Plunkett. And he fires it down, looking for Muhammad, and broken up by Foley. And that will wrap it. So that's the end of the first half with the score of the Los Angeles Raiders 7 and the Denver Broncos nothing. The only score. Here is an example where statistics do not necessarily tell the story.
Nope, neither team has done much offensively. Both teams have played well defensively. It was simply a turnover that put the Raiders in a position to score, and they took advantage of it. They've only been in position once and scored. Denver's had an opportunity 4 or 5 times and couldn't get it in.
All right, Chris Barr getting set to kick off for the Raiders. Zach Thomas and Steve Wilson are the deep men. That's Wilson on the right and Thomas, the rookie, on the left. The Raiders lead at 7-0. Plunkett to Branch. 35-yard pass play, and that has been it. And here is Wilson to the 10. Out near the 20-yard line and hit down by Jack Squirick, backup linebacker. So John Elway remains on the sideline, and Steve DeBerg will start the second half. We're told that Elway suffered a mild concussion.
If a concussion can be mild, I guess there are degrees of severity, but any concussion is too severe to be playing. And Steve's in there, and he's a very, very capable quarterback. And again, he's the one that was responsible for their 2 victories.
And they line up in the I. Parros in front of Winder. Rick Parros. So Parros to the 26-yard line. Strong safety, Mike Davis, ran him out. Parros in his 3rd season out of Utah State. Doesn't appear to have the short yardage power.
Those are the possessions that the Broncos have had and the distance that they have gone with the ball. They've moved it some in yardage, but when they've had real good position, they didn't get it in the end zone, and that's the name of this game.
And they have had good position on several occasions. 2nd down and 4 off the 6-yard pickup, a hard hit.
Howie Long.
Howie Long with the shot on Sammy Winder. There's Long, 3rd season out of Villanova. Man to replace John Matuzak, stepping right in. Solid player. And Long plays that intimidating style game similar to Lyle Alzado.
He sure does. And he's a young one.
3rd down and 3. And DeBerg swinging it for Winder. Incomplete. So the punting unit moves on.
Taking a look at Winder coming out of the backfield, what you'd like to do is give yourself a little more room. Whenever you turn that way, turn all the way around, your pattern is disjointed. And what he will have to do is run a little bit better route under control, bowing back, give the quarterback a little bit better angle to hit him. He'd have taken that ball in stride and picked up a 1st down.
Prestridge back at his 12. And here's Pruitt at his 30. Just did get it away and gets the good hang time. Pruitt called for the fair catch.
Fair catch by Pruitt at the 39-yard line.
So ball is spotted at the 39-yard line. It's a 33-yard punt, but not allowing the run back. And the Raiders take over. 1st and 10 at their 39.
That's not up to Luke's standards. And here's a man that looks like he's had about all he's going to have for the day. Somebody mentioned his knee is bothering him, and he will not be playing anymore.
He had an active first half. Got into a scrap. Got involved with Keith Bishop in the first quarter. Came up with a sack. But the word is he probably will sit out the second half. And Plunkett to put it up. Barnwell. Malcolm Barnwell, 3-year man out of Virginia Union, stopped by Randy Gradishar.
The Raiders throughout the game have averaged under a yard on first down, and that's one of the few times that they've thrown the ball on first down. They've been trying to control it with the run, and what they've done is made very few first downs and no yardage at all on first.
So second down and 4. Bonnie Chavis is out for the rest of the day now for certain with a groin pull. We mentioned the injury in the first half. Marcus Allen, who has been contained thus far. Now let's go back to NFL 83 for an update. Thank you, Len. Marv Albert with John Brody from Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Usual sellout here for the 95th consecutive time. And a timeout called by the Raiders.
Plunkett had a little confusion, Marv. You can hear the discussion coming out of the huddle, and I guess he feels the best thing to do is just take a little timeout, go over and talk about it with Tom Flores. They'll come up with some answer. On the other side of the coin, there's Dan Reed.
The crowd urging on the defensive unit, which is now hard hit by injury with Barney Chavis out. Rulon Jones out of action along with Bob Swetson. Kenny King for a long gainer down to the 35-yard line, covered by Randy Gradishar. Another update is upcoming now from NFL 83. Let's go back to our studios in New York. By the Raiders, first down at the Denver 35-yard line. And here's King, big hole. Kenny King to the first down marker. Tripped up by Steve Foley, the free safety.
Marv, it happens so often after you've thrown the ball on first down, then you get a first down. Coming back, the linebackers are generally just a little less able to have the certainty to fill those holes. King found one of the few holes that has been there today, picked up what appears to be a first down. We've got a man on the field in a orange and white jersey, and it doesn't look good.
Don Latimer shaken up. And you notice that Denver is wearing the white rather than the orange at home. They will do so until late October as you see Latimer heading back to the sideline. Dan Reeves feels the white uniforms reflect heat and will keep the players cooler in the warm weather. He feels that the white jersey can make a difference of some 10 to 15 degrees in temperature.
Well, I'm glad it's not superstition, because I never really bought that, because sometimes you just have to wear the other jersey. If the other team knows it, they're going to insist on it every opportunity they get.
Well, supposedly dark colors attract heat. It has not affected the Raiders at all. Second and 1. It was just short of the first down. And Plunkett has picked it up. Gradishar on the stop of Allen. And his forward progress is marked out of the 23-yard line. So a first down for the Raiders. They lead it 7-0. We have 11 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
And so far, as we watch Marcus Allen go back to the huddle, you remember he has only been stopped once, and that was by Cincinnati a year ago. Today, he is being held in check very well by a very stubborn Bronco defense.
Allen and King are the running backs. Now Allen followed King. And a flag is thrown on the far side of the field.
On the left side.
How would you assess the officiating style of this man, Dick Jorgensen, who's calling the offside?
A very consistent official. I think that, and the coaches do look at this, Marv. You know, when they
offside, nose guard, defense, decline. Second down.
When they do start preparing for a ball game, the players, the offensive linemen in particular, they know who the line judge is. They know just the way he handles a game, how much control he takes of a ball game. You see certain players, and we saw early when the Raiders in Cincinnati played, we saw Ben Dreith, the official. He's a very take-charge person, and I think they assign officials because of those qualities.
Well, we saw Dreith lash out at a couple of players. 2nd and 1 for Allen. And again, a penalty marker down as Marcus did pick up the first down. And again, the offside against the Broncos. So the Raiders have picked it up.
Encroachment, number 65, defense, first down.
It's the rookie Walt Boyer, who has seen quite a bit of action today, what with the injury suffered by Barney Chavis. And a 1st and goal for the Raiders at the 8-yard line. Plunkett has Branch left and Barnwell right. Allen and King are the running back. And Marcus is stopped behind the line. It's a loss. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle, number 68 on the play.
That is the tough way to make yardage. Reuben Carter and Don Latimer, the 2 nose guards that alternate, have done outstanding jobs for years, and they've just kind of gone, they've been taken for granted. They're so outstanding. When you make a play like this, you penetrate past the line of scrimmage, bring a back like Marcus Allen down for a 2-yard loss. That's a great play.
And it's a 2nd and goal from the 10. Dennis Smith stepping in front of Marcus Allen.
I'll tell you what, if Dennis Smith, he'd love to have another try at that. He might pick it off on the dead run and go about 90 yards for a score. He was in a good position to make the play. The ball was actually thrown a little bit with a little less on it than you would assume. Here's Jim kind of double pumped it out there. If Smith had one more shot at it, if he picked it off, he was gone.
Dennis Smith, the man who took over for a Denver great, Bill Thompson. And Dennis, a star on the rise in his 3rd season out of University of Southern Cal. 3rd and goal from the 10. Frank Hawkins now at running back alongside Marcus Allen. Hawkins blocking for Plunkett. And a good play. Lewis Wright stepping in front of Malcolm Barnwell.
That's the first time that Plunkett has tried Louis Wright. And I think you can see for yourself why they don't try him very often. He comes up with almost as many balls as the intended receivers. He's one-on-one. He's just like Lester Hayes all day long. Jim Plunkett's trying to get the ball to the wide receiver. Somebody's coming over to try and help him. It looks like Mike Harden, but he doesn't need any help. He stuffs Barnwell and the ball.
And Chris Barr has come on to attempt the field goal. This will be a 28-yard attempt. We mentioned he's had his difficulties this season, but he's a streak man right now, not in the midst of a good one. But this one is right through. So Barr is now 3 for 6 on the season.
And that one went off a Bronco.
And the Raiders now lead it 10-0. Briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KCRA-TV, Channel 3, Sacramento.
And Chris Barr getting set to kick off.
See if he puts this one out of the end zone.
And Zach Thomas once again staying right there. So Barr has kicked very well today.
Good decision, Marv. Generally, if you get the ball more than 2 or 3 yards deep in the end zone, stats will tell you that you don't get it out past the 15-yard line very often, and it's much worse to have the ball inside the 15 than it is good to get it outside the 25. So I think he used good judgment.
And the Broncos now 1st and 10 from their 20-yard line. 5.5 gone by, 3rd quarter. They are trailing 10-0. Farris and Winder are the running backs. Steve DeBerg, who came on for John Elway, who got rocked in the second quarter. This is Winder. Beautiful run for the first down. And more. Van McElroy on the tackle. Sammy Winder kind of picking his way through holes.
Well, because it didn't look as if there would be one, but it was a little trap block by the tight end Wright. Now take a look, number 87 in your picture. He had to wait for Wright to get by him, get on the middle linebacker, and when he did so, a hole created for him, and he picked up a nice gain. Now, that was just an outstanding tight end play right there.
18 yards on the play, and it's a first down at the 39-yard line. That's Poole in motion. And DeBerg throws the middle. Penalty marker down on the reception by Watson. But a flag down in the Denver backfield and a holding call against Denver.
Very well thrown ball nonetheless. DeBerg put it over the top of the linebackers, came softly into the only hole available. Watson got down low and picked it up for reception. When it's going bad, sometimes it just is hard to stop the train.
Holding, number 76, offense, still first down.
It's the right tackle, Ken Lanier, called for the hold.
As we take a look at John Elway on the bench, he's a bit confused right now, Marv. It's been 4 games into the season. Last week he had a little shot in the arm, took him down for a touchdown late in the ball game. Trying to learn too much too fast can really lead you into a position where you're not sure of the things you knew before. And I think that's where he is right now.
So Steve DeBerg now with a first down and 20 on the screen. Winder again drops it. He's had problems. There have been several drops. Sammy Winder has done it on the ground, 85 yards, 14 carries, but not as a receiver.
A lot of people would say, well, why doesn't he go down the field? You're not going to make any ground throwing little screen passes on first down and 25. Okay, well, that's all well and good, except to get enough time to get a receiver down the field is very difficult indeed. And today, it's been even more so. That's why when a penalty is accrued against one of those offensive linemen, it really puts a quarterback in a bind.
And DeBerg is 0 for 3, facing a second down and 20. Out of a shotgun. That time he threw a wobbler, and he overthrew. Pass intended for Zach Thomas. There's Zach, rookie from South Carolina State.
Steve, I don't think, got the ball as cleanly as he would like. He had to throw the ball a little faster than he wanted. When you take that ball from center, you try to get it as quickly as you can so you can recognize the defense and see who it is you're throwing to. And this was a very quick pattern. Just had a little problem getting a grip.
So third down and 20. Steve DeBerg also facing the pressure. Reports this week that he is considering the Denver Gold of the USFL. Many reports concerning Steve DeBerg this week. We mentioned the unusual contract. And DeBerg is sacked.
That time he tried to get a pattern down the field, as we discussed. It's just that tough. He didn't have enough time to get his receivers 20 yards down the field before those outstanding defensive linemen for the Raiders were sitting right in his face.
And Greg Townsend, the rookie from Texas Christian, getting to the quarterback. So again, the Bronco offense is negated. And again, we see Luke Prestridge. This time back at his 5-yard line. He and Greg Pruitt spending much time on the field in punt formation. This time gets some distance. Here's Pruitt, 30-yard line, 40. So the Raiders will take over. It's a 55-yard punt, 17-yard return. Raiders will have the football, leading 10-0. Neal had a knee problem coming into camp, but that is a devastating loss. Raiders first down at the 42-yard line. 8 minutes remaining, third quarter. Here's Kenny King. Out across the 45. Don Latimer there to make the stop.
When I watch the Denver defense play, I marvel at the fact that week in and week out they hang in there. Now you'd think, as we watch the 49ers with a slight lead over Atlanta in the third quarter. These guys play such good defense, time in and time out. The dam never breaks on them. Nobody's scored as many as 14 points all year, and their offense has not had the ball enough to really take the pressure off ever.
The way things are going here, Broncos will need a score from the defense, as the defense has come up tough once again on this Raider drive. Rick Pruitt stopped by Reuben Carter. So it sets up a 3rd down and 6 at the 46. 35-yard touchdown pass play. Jim Plunkett to Cliff Branch in the second quarter. And here in the third, a 27-yard field goal by Chris Barr. 10-0 Raiders. Big rush on Plunkett. Oh, you'll describe that pass in a moment, I know. Kenny King picking up the first down. Little shovel toss by Plunkett.
Well, we discussed it earlier that you might see the ball coming to you from any angle with Jim Plunkett playing quarterback. And the reason being he's always alert to where his backs are. He knows Kenny King's out there trying to help him. You see, King is out there pretending to block, then slides off. Well, that's a real good release for a quarterback. He knows if he's in trouble, if I find King, he'll be looking to me for a short pass. He does, picks up the first down, and that's the kind of coordination that keeps drives alive.
It works. That's out of the repertoire of Joe Kapp.
Yep, we were talking about the Jets having a bad break. The defense took over. Jerry Holmes ran in an attempted field goal attempt, 57 yards, and their game's tied.
All right, here's the swing for King. Kenny King, who's had an outstanding third quarter. Run out by Randy Gradishaw. King has done it both on the ground and as a receiver. Kenny King in his 5th season out of Oklahoma.
Tom Flores prefers, having been a quarterback, he prefers to have his quarterback call his own plays, as opposed to Dan Reeves' structure, as we watch Don Latimer trying to come back on the field, play some defense.
Is back at the Denver bench. It's been a rough day physically for the Broncos. Mild concussion suffered by John Elway. Ronnie Chavis was knocked out of the game. This is Hawkins. First carry of the day, Frank Hawkins in his 3rd season out of Nevada Reno. Looking for the first down. He's right near the marker.
Frank Hawkins is a fellow that has been getting better as in each year, and he is the 3rd back behind 2 fine ones, Kenny King and Marcus Allen, but real good in short yardage situations. You see him time and again pick up the 1, the 2, the real tough yards. That's what they use him for primarily.
Very compact, powerful runner. Scored a touchdown Monday night against Miami. Just shy of the first down. It's a 3rd and 1. And they're packed solidly. Here's King. Try to knife across, and we'll have to wait. Mike Harden on the tackle as Kenny King tried to slash across for the first down. Raiders seem to think they have it. Number 70, Henry Lawrence pointing, indicating a first down, but they will measure.
Very, very close.
By that much.
About 6 or 7 inches. It'll be interesting to see whether the Raiders want to have a go at it on 4th down, keep their drive alive. It's a little far to be kicking a field goal. And that is a very dangerous play in a close game. We saw one picked off, one blocked back in Shea Stadium. Holmes ran it in for a touchdown. I think if I'm Tom Flores right now, I have a go at it on 4th down. Try to keep the drive alive and put points on the board.
And the Raiders have had success in this situation. Jim Plunkett hanging in there, so they will go for it. 5.5 remaining, 3rd quarter. And Tom Flores and his Raiders looking to make it a record of 4-0. They lead 10-0.
He always has the look of a guy that knows something I don't.
Eric Jensen in motion. Allen going outside, tripped up, but he has it. Marcus Allen maintaining the balance just long enough to pick up the first down.
Marcus Allen fell on the ball, and when he got hit by Mike Harden, actually got the wind knocked out of him. He's a little slow going back to the huddle, but everything was stuffed up right at the point of attack. It's the ability of a great back who can in one step change the flow from going right at off the tackle, which this play is designed to put him through, to going to the outside, using a good block by the flanker, picks up the first.
Raiders first down at the Denver 30. And penalty flags as Pruitt drive the right side. Reuben Carter on the tackle. And a procedure call against the Raiders. Tom Flores, 5th year as head coach of the Raiders, took the Raiders to victory in Super Bowl 15, beating the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 65, offense, still first down.
He's a perfect illustration that good guys do win.
Flores, the Oakland Raiders' first starting quarterback back in '60, an original Raider.
He and Mel Powell used to work together. Art Powell,
right. Right guard Mickey Marvin, who's back in action after missing a couple of games, was called for that procedure. And Plunkett for Barnwell. Malcolm Barnwell has the first down inside the 20-yard line. Steve Foley on the tackle.
Jim Plunkett makes the big throws. He comes up with the clutch performance when you need it most. We mentioned he's got an awfully good record for starting quarterbacks winning football games, particularly in the last 5 years. This ball perfectly thrown to Malcolm Barnwell, who picks up the first. They got it inside the 20.
Second reception by Barnwell, 25 yards in all. First down at the 16. Hawkins inside the 15, and gang tackle.
Look at the arms on Frank Hawkins. Now that is a big, small man.
5'9", 210 pounds.
13-yard line.
Second down and 7 as Hawkins picked up 3. As you mentioned, Marcus Allen did have the wind knocked out of him as he ended up on top of the football a moment ago. So Tom Flores going with a combination of Hawkins and Pruitt. And this is Pruitt. So the short pickup by Greg Pruitt. He is averaging just under 8 yards per carry.
They use him in situations where when he does get the ball, they're trying to get him on a trap, or like you see here, it's a draw play. Well, he gets through a hole, and he's liable to break it for 25 or 30, and he's done that on 2 or 3 occasions, and that's why his average is up to 7.7.
One of the NFL's top all-purpose backs, Greg Pruitt. 3rd down and 4 at the 11. He's got Pruitt, but not able to hang on. Pruitt running the post pattern, and he split the secondary. Covered by Roger Jackson and Dennis Smith.
Very congested in there, Marv, but Jim threw the ball the only place it could be received easily. Now, he's got Pruitt one-on-one. When you get a man one-on-one right over the middle, it's the easiest throw in the game. He throws it right down there low. Pruitt will handle 4 or 5... about 99 out of 100 of those, but that's the 3rd time today he's had trouble catching the football.
So here is Chris Farr, who hit earlier from 27. This one from 29. And Farr has connected again. So the Los Angeles Raiders able to put up 3 more on the board, and with 2:23 left, 3rd quarter, they now lead it 13-0. 13-0 lead. The kickoff by Barr. This is Wilson, and he will stay there again.
Boy, it's good discipline not to come out when you're 7 yards deep, but it's very tough also because most kick returners only get an opportunity to get their hands on the ball during a kick return, show what they can do, and it's very tough to stay in there.
Particularly when you're trailing by the score of 13-0 and you're looking to get something going.
Still the best play.
Denver now, 1st and 10. From the 20, you just saw the stat on DeBerg. He's 0 for 5 since coming on for Elway. He has Watson right and Upchurch near side. Winder on the slant out near the 25-yard line. Bob Nelson, inside linebacker on the right, making the stop. You mentioned earlier that up front, Raiders do all kinds of shuffling, but the linebackers usually stay the same most of the way. Hendricks and Dillon, Nelson, Martin.
There's a statistic. Sammy Winders had 16 carries and has actually outgained the Raiders, but he's done it on draw plays, long yardage situations, and it's not a ball control sort of a statistic.
2nd down 5, and DeBerg looking for Upchurch, overthrows. Lester Hayes, Ted Watts in pursuit of Rick Upchurch. Word from the Raider dressing room that Marcus Allen has a bruised hip. So he is heading back to the dressing room, and no word on whether he will return. John Elway is out with that mild concussion.
Taking a look at John, he's trying to find, since DeBerg has come in there, it hasn't changed much. And there are no miracle men. You either have a group of offensive linemen that are moving people around at the line of scrimmage and they give you an opportunity to do what you would like to operate with, or they don't. And today they're getting beat at the line of scrimmage. And when that happens, you don't put many points on the board.
3rd down and 5 from the 25. DeBerg hit down. Another sack by the Raiders, this time Archie Reese. That's 4 for the Raiders, the 2nd by this guy, number 74, Archie Reese.
Tell you, Howie Long was the man that made it possible for Archie to get that sack by forcing DeBerg out of the pocket, going right straight up the gut. Archie and Howie played a little game. You see number 75 coming right at DeBerg, and Piquel also. So they met him back at quarterback.
And Luke Prestridge now back in his end zone. Rick Pruitt is back. Oh, Prestridge in big trouble, able to get it away. And here's Pruitt midfield. Pruitt down to the 30 and pounded out across the 30. A flag is down.
I don't think I've ever seen that, and particularly out of a guy the quality of Luke Prestridge. He went to kick it, and the ball just kind of fell out of his hand. He didn't move his leg. He got a good bounce and was able to kick it again. But when you do that, you're going to have some linemen downfield. Now, I know they're supposed to hear the thud of the ball, but how do you do that if you're down there as an up back? They're gone. They expect it to be gone, and so are they.
Ineligible downfield on the punt, number 55. Offense, decline. 1st down.
All right, Dedison downfield too quickly. Prestridge did get a 41-yard punt away. It was nearly blocked by Derek Jensen.
By the whole group.
He actually stiff-armed Jensen out of the way. Yes, it has been a long day for Dan Reeves and his Denver Broncos.
There just are no secrets. He's looking for a play. It's pretty tough if you're losing the battle up front.
Here are the Raiders at the Denver 28, 1st down. Plunkett had time with Branch on the reception. Mike Harden covering. Well, in the 4th quarter, Atlanta now leads San Francisco 20-17.
Boy, that's a game. They have had some Donniebrooks in the last few years out there, particularly in San Francisco, where they're playing today. Steve Bartkowski's become one of the top quarterbacks in that game, and I really think he's about ready to take Atlanta somewhere.
All right, 1st down at the 17-yard line. Jim Plunkett looking to take the Raiders in for some more points. They lead it by the count of 13-0. time. Touchdown. And again, it's Cliff Branch.
How good a throw was that one, Marv? That ball was thrown before Branch made his final move. Threw it right on the numbers. Allowed Branch to catch the ball in stride. It looks like it's so easy you could do that every time, all right? But the skill involved in this play is to be able to read your receiver and his move so well that the throwing lane is there. You put it right where it has to be thrown. You know it's going to be caught. You know he's going to move in that direction at a specific time, and those two have worked beautifully on 2 plays today.
Earlier from 35, this from 17. Mark Wilson will hold for Chris Bond. And the Los Angeles Raiders looking very powerful. Some thought they might have a letdown coming off the short work week, coming off Monday night. Not the case here today. They lead it by the score of 20-0.
A lot of people mentioned, you know, it's time for a letdown, and I think that had something to do with the fact that the Raiders were only favored by 3.5 or 4. But I do think that the Raiders have a group of people, and their coaching staff is such that they're not going to let them have. They're going to stay up. They know what it's like to be on top. They've worked real hard to get there. And I'd say if there is one group that consistently plays at the top of their ability, I'd say the Raiders do.
Looking to make it 4-0 to remain as the only unbeaten team in the AFC, only Dallas unbeaten in the NFC, as Cowboys had a tough one, but able to beat New Orleans earlier today. 44 seconds remaining third quarter. The kickoff by Bond. And let's see if Wilson, yes, able to run this one out. Steve Wilson out near the 15. Well, next Sunday, starting at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time, NFL 80 in your area. Looks like the Raiders had a hustle to get 11 men on the field.
Well, they had a couple men short. It's one thing to have 10. They had 8.
And wisely calling for time. I don't think Tom Flores is that confident.
No, and this is a very dangerous place to be if you get a little complacent, because there's still a little bit over a quarter to play. You know, it doesn't take long to score 2 touchdowns. Now, obviously, the Broncos are in a position where they've got to fire it around the infield no matter. I mean, all the game plan is out the door. They've got a little over 15 minutes to score 3 touchdowns, and they're going to throw an awful lot of stuff at the wall right now and hope some of it sticks.
Raiders have been an injury-free club through the first 4 games of the season as we check the scoreboard. Rams now in front of the Jets out of Chase 17-14. However, today Lyle Alzado knocked out of the ball game. Did not look to be a serious injury.
It didn't. He was walking around, Marv, and also Marcus Allen went in the locker room to see what's wrong with him.
Allen injuring his hip. So they have been free of injury. Here's Sammy Winder to the 20-yard line. Bill Piquel on the stop and a penalty marker down. Number 1 draft pick, offensive lineman Don Mosbar, kept that back operation a secret before draft day. He underwent surgery, but he is back with the club. Saw some duty on special teams last week.
And talking to Sam Bogosian, the offensive line coach, he mentioned that Mosbar is a player. And they've had a chance to see him in practice. He hasn't been activated, but he can play.
Yeah, he is on the roster, though.
Yeah, well, he is now. Excuse me.
And we have not seen Shelby Jordan, who is working his way into shape, so it's a pretty fair depth on that roster.
Number 54, offense, still first down.
The hold on the left guard, Keith Bishop.
And even when Shelby Jordan does work himself into shape, the Raiders organization is not one to make substitution readily. I think as long as Bruce Davis is doing the job and as long as the offense is moving the ball, you'll see the same group of people day in and day out.
All right, it is a first and about 17 back at the 8. Here's DeBerg. He has Watson right at the first down marker. So Steve Watson on the completion.
And that is making yardage the tough way.
And we're winding down.
17-yard completion, Marv. Steps back, quick pass in between 4 defenders. All of them take a shot and miss him. Looks like he's got about a foot to go for a first.
So the first completion on the day by Steve DeBerg. And at the end of the third quarter, it's the Raiders 20, Broncos nothing. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Temperature, high 70s, low 80s, right throughout. And it has been a beautiful day for the Los Angeles Raiders, who have enjoyed their visit. They lead it 20-0, second down and 1 for DeBerg from the Denver 25-yard line. Play action. And DeBerg able to complete again. Rick Upchurch stopped by Van McElroy.
A good call. Marv, second and 1. There's no automatic play action pass. Throw the ball down because you have it down to waist. That isn't the reason. Right now it looks as if it's a run-pass situation. He can get his blocks on those defensive linemen. They got good blocks. It allowed Upchurch to get in between the secondary. When you have that sort of time, you can fire the ball in between those defenses. But when he hasn't had it very often.
15 yards on the play. DeBerg is now 2 for 8, 32 yards. Sammy Winder could not quite make the turn. And again, a penalty marker down. Mike Davis, the strong safety, cutting Winder off. And it's been a busy day for the officials. And the clip called on Denver.
Happens so often, too, it's hard to get yourself out of the habit of trying to get low and get down on a defensive back. And now the rules state that you must hit him above the waist, cracking back. That's what he did, and he went a little low.
And Reeves discussing the call.
He doesn't like it. He's saying he was outside of the area where he can't hit him low. He might have a point, but it's 15 yards anyway.
Personal foul, illegal crackback. Number 87, offense, still first down.
The tight end, Jim Wright, called on the penalty. And it's a first down back at the 31-yard line. I'll look at the third quarter rundown. And the Raiders taking command. Not the case in the first half, although they led 7-0, but the Broncos have the better stats for what that is worth. Here's Winder. And a flag down. As Winder was hit by Townsend, the second man coming in.
I think that was strange, but it looked as if it was an offensive holding call on number 64. Now, if he did that, he didn't hold him very well. Bill Bryan's the center, an excellent center. That is not being met with much approval up here, and I had a little problem finding it myself.
So they'll mark it off again against Denver.
Illegal use of the hands, number 54, offense, still first down.
Now they say Keith Bishop, the left guard. So it's back to a first down and 25, back at the 29.
Okay, let's see if we can find him. Here he is. He's up in he's the furthest Bronco downfield. Do you see anything? I don't.
Number 54. Keith Bishop called on the penalty, and first and long for DeBerg. And the fumble recovered by the Raiders.
Howie
Long on the recovery. And a timeout has been called. A minute gone by in this fourth quarter. Raiders will take over, leading 20-0. And back in Denver, Howie Long covering up on the fumble by Sammy Winder. Here it is.
You take a look at Sammy, never really had the ball clean. Archie Reese got his hand in, created the fumble, and both Howie Long and Archie Reese are working very well together today.
Fourth fumble by Denver. They've lost 2 of the 4. Raiders take over at the Denver 29. Plunkett with good protection. Intended for the tight end, Todd Christensen, who has been the favorite receiver of Plunkett, but not the case today.
He's been goose-egged, I believe. He's got one.
I believe he caught one earlier. We'll have to check that. Washington in front of Seattle, 27-17. Second and 10 from the 29. Yeah, Christensen caught one right at the start of the game for 4 yards. That's been it. And here's Greg Pruitt heading to the 28-yard line. Short pickup stopped by a combination of Jim Ryan and Dennis Smith. It'll be a 3rd down and 9. Minute and a half gone by, 4th quarter. Raiders have taken over. 35-yard touchdown to Cliff Branch in the 2nd quarter. In the 3rd, 2 field goals. Chris Barr from 27 and then 29, and Plunkett to Branch on a 17-yard pass play.
I think going in, Dan Reeves figured that he'd need to get some turnovers. They haven't been able to get them today.
But this time the Broncos getting to the quarterback, led by Dennis Smith. 3rd sack of the day, so Smith on the blitz.
Put those safety blitzes in. If he doesn't keep a back in to pick one up, it's tough on the quarterback.
It's 4th down.
Plunkett getting back there. You can see from the outside, number 49. Cornerbacks, they throw everybody in on those safety blitzes.
And Ray Guy back at midfield. Mike Harden is the deep man. Let's see, Denver going with a 9-man rush. They have Smith and Harden back. And Guy pops it. So they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. A 35-yard punt by Guy with 12 and a half left in this 4th quarter. We'll be back in a moment.
His statement is he finds a 21-point play, but I don't think they have one. It's like if you're not winning at the line of scrimmage, and we've mentioned it how many times today, what you can do to get back in the ball game is limited. He's going to have to try and get the ball off anyway, but it'll be tough.
Well, they go to the ground. Sammy Winder, good second effort, breaking tackles and battling his way for the 1st down and some more. Matt Miller, number 55, answering. He's not pleased with Winder breaking a couple. It's a 13-yard run.
I think the effect that play could have, though, is that I think Denver needs something to pump them up, to get their linemen enthused. And Winder has broken a couple of plays today. This is one of them. Made fine runs after it looked like it was all clogged up. He's broken some tackles. He's made over 100 yards rushing. They still haven't got any points to show for it. He cannot do it all alone.
Broncos 1st down at their 35-yard line. Watson is left, Upchurch right. And Winder again. And fans not happy with the ground game. Rod Martin on the stop.
They still feel they're in it, okay? They want to take a shot. Let's have a go at this thing. If we lose 34-0, so be it. But let's put something up there.
2-yard pickup, 2nd down and 8.
Lester Hayes is just having a ball. He hasn't really been very busy today.
Again, Watson left, Upchurch right. And now DeBerg on the screen. Did not develop very well. In fact, Winder took a pretty good pop from the linebacker Nelson as he tried to get outside.
You cannot get your backs out. You cannot throw screens. And that time, the 2 inside interior defensive linemen spotted it and held him up.
Good play by Bob Nelson. And it's a 3rd down and 8. And here are the Raiders able to just sit back and play this one.
You know, it's funny. I'll be interested to see what they do on 4th down. It's getting to the point where they've got to make a decision if they're making a try to win the ball game. If it comes up 4th and 6, I'd have have a go at it.
Would you? 11 minutes left.
I'm not the coach. But
All right, John. And here's DeBerg, and he completes for the first down to Steve Watson. So we will not get a chance to see if Reeves would gamble. Ted Watts on the tackle.
That was a real nice throw by DeBerg. He held it as long as he could to allow Watson to get into the secondary and run his pattern. He threw the ball just before he made his final move and right where it had to be thrown.
15-yard pickup. DeBerg is now 3 for 10, 51 yards. Came on for John Elway. Those of you may just joined us. Elway forced to leave after taking a hard hit from the rookie Bill Pickell. Look out! A hard hit that time, but DeBerg able to get it away, and they say completed pass to tight end Jim White. But a very short pickup off the fade back by DeBerg, and he was really hammered.
Probably the nicest catch he'll ever make for a 3-yard gain. McElroy's been very tough on him. And just remember, Rod Martin we spoke about earlier in the ball game, he came free. When he's coming free on your back, on your blind side, you're going to smart.
So a second, about 7.5 out of the 45-yard line. Ron Egloff now at tight end, replacing Jim Wright. Watson in motion. Short setup. Upton for the first time. And Rick refusing to go down. Ted Watts on the tackle.
Beautiful throw, Mark.
Now for a look at what is going on elsewhere, let's go back to NFL 83 against the White Sox, but the National League East and West still uncertain. 18-yard pass play, and it's a first down for Denver at the Raider 27. Again, the short set. Rick Powers. First and goal for the Broncos, and Steve DeBerg very successful with that short setup.
Well, he's one of those throwers that can throw the ball quick. He played out there in San Francisco where he and Montana both were real fast delivery boys. This time he jumps. He knows he's going to Peros the whole way. He's trying to get him inside one of the linebackers. He does so. Hits him for a first down, and this is the most impressive drive they've had. All started 3rd and 13, 3rd and 7.
18-yard advance, first and goal from the 8. Nathan Poole, nothing. Bill Pickell.
Okay, here's the thought. I don't know if it means anything. You run a play like that, and you run 30 seconds off the clock. There's 7:55 left in the ball game. They almost can't afford to run any more plays if they're trying to win the football game. They have a chance to get it back 3 times, make 3 touchdowns, but no running plays.
And you saw the graphic. The Raiders have not given up a rushing touchdown this season. They've allowed only 3 points in the first half through the first 4 games. DeBerg throwing that off the mark. A wobbler intended for the tight end Egloff, and McElroy covering on the play.
Well, Mike Davis was on a safety blitz. He came late. Steve was fortunate to pick him up and see him out of the corner of his eye. Had to throw it a little before he wanted.
You know, the points that the Raiders have given up, and they've given up only 30, have come late. 21 points allowed in the fourth quarter. You saw Monday night the 2 touchdowns, meaningless scores by Miami in the fourth quarter. So their defense is even tougher than the statistics show.
Let's remember, this one isn't meaningless. There's a lot of time left.
3rd and goal. That was deflected, intended for Winder. Greg Townsend getting excited over the play. He got a piece of it.
Actually, Greg Townsend is about as athletic a defensive end as you're going to find. He's agile, he's tough, extremely strong for his size, and he's got his eye on that quarterback. Now, when you can get caught up in the pile and still keep your eye on the quarterback, you can do some good.
That was a great move because Townsend was in the air, committed himself to his right, and was able to lunge to the left. You'll see it again.
You got it, exactly. If he doesn't put his hand up and get a piece of the ball, it's going to be a sure completion and a possible touchdown.
So it's a 4th and goal. And penalty markers down.
False start, number 60, offense.
And it's against the Broncos, the right guard, Paul Howard.
You can see how fast a guy that's alert can get off that line of scrimmage. As soon as your guard moves at all. And you see number 60, Howard moved a little bit. Townsend's off. McKell's off.
Start, number 60, offense, still 4th down.
And it is now a 4th down, 4th and goal, back at the 13. Dan Reeves, in his 3rd season as head coach of Denver. First year, that impressive 10 up, 6 down, just missing the playoffs. Last year, Broncos dropping to 2-7 and facing a 2-2 record this year. And the third, looking for Watson. Deflected away by Otis McKinney. So the Bronco drive has been stopped with 7:15 left in this 4th quarter. The Broncos up the field, but the drive is stopped by the Raiders. They take over at the 13. Here's Pruitt spinning for a yard. Carl Mecklenburg, rookie out of Minnesota, making the stop. 75,103 tickets sold today. Only 814 no-shows, so a 95th consecutive sellout here at Mile High. And the 49ers beat the Falcons 24-20.
How many times do they have those fantastic finishes out there at Candlestick Park? Montana must have put another one on them.
2nd down play. 2nd and 8. Chester Willis, 3rd-year man out of Auburn, getting the call, his 2nd carry of the season. There he is, number 38. Had a good preseason, average about 4 yards per carry. So Tom Flores now doing some shuffling with the 20-0 lead. Down to 6:15 left in this 4th quarter. Now has a new acquisition, Don Hasselbeck, in the lineup. Hasselbeck did play some double tight end situations on Monday against Miami. 3rd down and 4. Here's Willis again. And Willis able to dart for the 1st down, but a flag is thrown. Steve Foley on the tackle.
Hey, it looked like a holding call on the offense. He called it on number 27, I believe, Frankie Hawkins. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away from the ball carrying ability. These ball carriers are getting into ball games for the first time right now, and how they play here dictates how long they'll stay. The Raiders have depth, but all their people are healthy, so the subs don't get much of a play.
Illegal use of the hands, number 27, offense,
Hawkins
still 3rd down.
Trying to help his running mate Willis. It'll be a 3rd down and 13. Frank Hawkins and Chester Willis in the backfield. Marcus Allen injured his hip, so has not seen much action in the 2nd half. And Willis on the fumble, recovered by Plunkett. That took a Raider hop.
When it's bouncing right, it's bouncing right. Plunkett just happened to be there. Those are the kind of plays that when things are going well for you, you make a great play defensively, you create a turnover, you score a touchdown, you get everybody enthusiastic, and you go in and score 2 more and win a game you have no business winning. But when it's going bad, you make a great play and it goes right to the quarterback, and he kneels down and they punt it out.
Nice high hopper. That was a bouncer to short that Plunkett was able to come up with. And here's Ray Guy, as deep as he can go in his end zone. That's Zach Thomas at midfield. 5:10 left in the 4th quarter. Raiders taking their time. Just did beat the 30-second clock. Thomas misjudged, and the fair catch at the 39-yard line. So just under 5 minutes remaining. 4th quarter. 56-yard punt by Guy. The Raiders with a 20-0 lead on the Broncos. At Denver, that would be the longest such streak since back in 67-68.
Hey, they've had a lot of success up here, and their fans have supported them throughout the whole up and down tenure of the Bronx.
1st down for DeVer. Beautiful effort. And it's ruled a completed pass by Watson, wrestling with Hayes.
Not way open, but a beautiful catch. That's how tough it's been when they do make those, the long gainers. All right, DeBerg goes back. He does have time to throw. He's getting a little help from his halfbacks, kept both backs in. Got time to throw. Watson comes up with a fine catch.
10-yard pass play. So first down at midfield. Four minutes and 50 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. It's Watson again for another first down. Watson with his 5th reception. He was quiet earlier in the game. In fact, he and Elway have not been able to hook up. Well, when DeBerg took over on both occasions in Baltimore, where Watson was sensational, and in Pittsburgh, his primary receiver was Steve Watson.
Well, I think it's the case with John right now, getting to know his personnel, being able to allow Watson to get down the field, make his cuts. DeBerg's been working with him for an extra year, and don't think that doesn't help.
First down, 34-yard line. And let's see what they rule. Incomplete. Incomplete. Right here, let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KCRA-TV, Channel 3, Sacramento.
Talking with DeBerg earlier, Marv, he mentioned that he said, if we get enough time, I really think that we can find some area in their seams. They play a lot of man-to-man defense. As we look at what's the other cornerback being attended to, he said, but I think there are some holes. It's getting enough time to operate in them that's tough, and you've seen it today.
Well, tonight on NBC, how dangerous is the food you eat? Fruit. Set to resume, 2nd and 10 at the Raider 34. Penalty flag thrown, and DeBerg overthrows Watson in a race with Hayes, but a marker down. Steve Watson in his 5th season out of Temple. Despite that skinny frame, gets the job done. He's been an outstanding receiver.
And he's one of those that has good speed, but also has the attention to go in that middle and with blinders on. He doesn't.
Illegal motion, number 81, offense, decline.
And it's Watson called for the illegal motion.
When he goes in the middle, and all quarterbacks know whether the first look is back at the quarterback or into the secondary. And if you're a receiver, you've got to be able to look at that quarterback first and then feel your way through the secondary, or it's very tough to operate in there.
And now for this 3rd down and 10, Watson is to the right. And the rookie Clint Sampson out to the left. DeBerg looking that way. And it's picked off. McElroy on the intercept. And McElroy with the interception again.
When it rains, it pours. Van McElroy is playing awfully good football, however. He's one of those second-year players that's sitting back there and playing that free safety or center field, as some call it. He makes a real good run to get a piece of this ball from his free safety position. Just DeBerg trying to take any chance at all to get the ball in the end zone, throws it to him on the dead run. This is his 2nd interception of the day. Job well done.
And his 3rd on the season. Van McElroy, who took over at free safety for the retired Burgess Owens, has had himself a big day. First down for the Raiders at the 12. We're under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This is Frank Hawkins. And the second string backfield combination of Hawkins and Chester Willis looking very impressive. Hawkins picked up 8. It'll be a 2nd down and 2 out of the 20.
I was trying to see if they had made any substitutions on the offensive line, and they haven't. I'll tell you, they put those fellas out there, and they just forget them, Well, good luck, y'all.
Mickey Marvin is back after sitting out a couple with the ankle problem. He was replaced by Steve Sylvester. the last 2 games. Again, Hawkins looking for the first down, and against some words between Broncos and Raiders, earlier we had a flare-up involving Lyle Alzado and Keith Bishop, which was quickly broken up, and we've had a couple of verbal exchanges. That's the tight end, Todd Christensen.
Those and dirty looks don't really hurt you much, though.
No gain on the play. 3rd down and 2.
Yes, sir. Todd's probably a little frustrated. And here he gets pushed right back over the pile by.
That's the rookie Walt Boyer. Driving move by Willis, looking for the first down. We'll have to see where they mark it. Also a fumble on the play, but see if the whistle's blew. Raiders pointing left and Broncos pointing right.
That's the look of a guy that wonders what's going on. He's generally had things in control when he's in between those yard stripes.
All right, the end result of that last play, it was not a fumble. The whistle had blown, and the ball is spotted short of the first down. So 4th down play coming up, and again, the punting unit with Ray Guy dropping back. Two minutes and 15 seconds.
Sometimes you see a guy, the look on a fella,
John, I think
there will be better days.
You're trying to get very deep here. But
not much to say, really. I think we've said it.
Ray Guy is back at his 8-yard line. But now here's the 2-minute warning. And now here comes another one of those fantastic finishes. For Marv Albert with John Brody, the NFL Report is upcoming with Len Berman. A look at what is happening around the National Football League today. Here's Ray Guy getting set to boot for the 8th time. And Zach Thomas is back. Guy averaging 47 yards and has had a good day. Luke Prestridge has punted 8 times. Good rush. Here's Thomas. Out to the 40. 45. 30. Zach Thomas all the way. 69-yard run on the punt return by the rookie from South Carolina State.
They finally gave the horse a chance to run. Listen, there weren't many people left in the stands to see it, but they sure did miss something. This kid is running in place of Rick Upchurch, who has been for years the best punt returner in this game. He's taken over right where he left off. We've seen him run a couple back in very fine fashion. Watch Todd Christensen. He falls, he gets blocked just as he's trying to make the tackle. And it's all roses from there on in.
Zach Thomas had a 42-yard kickoff return against Pittsburgh in the opener. That's the Broncos' longest kickoff return in some 3 years. So the Broncos able to maintain one mark. They have never been shut out here in Denver. And the point after by Rick Collison. Zach Thomas providing some late excitement to get the Broncos on the board.
Well, this is just an individual run. Beautiful play. Gets out of Jeff Barnes' grasp. You can see Todd Christensen trying to come over and help out. But I'll tell you what, he ran right into Darren Cameo, and it was a rough landing for Todd.
What this provides from the Raider point of view, going into the final 2 minutes, Tom Flores and his staff look at the films of this one. Very little to critique from a negative fashion. Now they can yell at the special teams.
Well, you know, Charlie Sumner mentioned, he said he had a lot to say to the group. on defense. He said, when you're playing at a level like this, and he said, you don't find a group that can play at this level very often. And when you find one, don't let yourself down, fellas, because we happen to have a group that not only plays well together and is close, but once you drop a level, it's very hard to retain it. Now, they have played 4 games in a row at a peak level.
So the onside by Carlos, and covered up at midfield by the Raiders. With 1:41 remaining fourth quarter, Raiders now lead it by the score of 20-7. Otis McKinney on the cover-up by Los Angeles. The executive producer, Andy, again to the ground, and again Hawkins inside the 45-yard line.
I think you can safely bet that Dan Reeves will take all his timeouts. They have 3 left. One more first down and it would be history, however. They could run the clock right out when there's 1:31 left. They still have to make a first down to be able to do that.
Hawkins picking up 5. It'll be a 2nd down and 5 when we resume from the 45-yard line.
And
that captures his season. He has done enough to win. And with a combination of Marcus Allen and Kenny King, this is Hawkins.
You know that over the years, Marv, he has only lost 1 big game, that one to the Jets last year. Other than that, whenever he's been in a position to win a championship or win anything, he's done it.
Cleveland unsafe for the Barr brothers. Chris has had a good one here in Denver. Chester Willis. Oh, submarine. 28, Roger Jackson on the stop of Willis. So the Raiders short of the first down with 1:08 and counting.
And Dan Reeves a little disappointed there. He thought he lost about 15 seconds. His defense did not call timeout as swift as he would have liked. Now there's 1:06 left. No timeouts left, however.
That's the final timeout that has just been called. So the Raiders have the 1, and the Broncos have had it in that department.
Tied at 24 each in the 4th period.
Denver Broncos, who do not have a difficult schedule this season. Next 2 weeks, Denver on the road at Chicago and at Houston, and back home for Cincinnati October the 16th. Not a tough schedule, but when you're struggling with your offense, everything is tough. It's not, on paper, not a difficult schedule. All right, here is Ray Guy on 4th down, 9th punt of the day. Keeping it away from Zach Thomas. Out of bounds at the 6. So Denver taking over back at their 6. Guy punting at 36 yards as he was able to angle it out. And we have 59 seconds remaining in this 4th quarter.
1-2 in overtime.
Baltimore winning today in OT. Beat the Patriots earlier this season in overtime. Patriots have turned it around.
Darn right. They're a good football team that hadn't played well, but you know is dangerous.
Look out. Safety. Steve DeBerg. Hit for the safety. Greg Townsend leading the charge.
He looks like he's just having so much fun out there. I wonder if he comes from TCU, which is not renowned for its football team, okay? And I'm sure he had his share of losses over the years. But since joining the Raiders, he has added a new dimension to their defensive line. He gets around so fast. Paul Howard trying to help out the tackle. Couldn't get there in time. Townsend racks up 2.
Townsend, who racked up 6 against the Dolphins on Monday with that 66-yard run on the fumble return.
He looked like a fullback when he did it. He kind of sized up the field, looked around, said, well, I think I'll run over here.
Greg Townsend, outstanding, active rookie, 6'3", 240, combining with Bill Piquel, and have added that extra dimension to the Raider defensive unit. Greg discussing it with some fans now. Well, the Jets in front of the Rams now 24-17 in the 4th quarter at Shea Stadium.
Without Freeman McNeil.
And the Broncos getting set for the free kick following the safety. That's Wilbur Myers, rookie out of Delta State, backup cornerback, holding it. And Carlos with the onside. Look out. Todd Christensen falling out of bounds. And let's see who touched it last.
He is a hustler. He was trying to pick it up and run it in. He thought he had a good shot to do so when the ball was running free. There was nobody between himself and the goal line, but he couldn't pick it up cleanly.
But the Raiders do take possession, leading it now 22-7, 50 seconds remaining.
Hey, just taking any last chance you can. Lester Hayes tries to jump on the ball, doesn't get a clean piece of it. Todd trying to pick it up. Makes a pretty good play just to get it.
And the Raiders will run it out now. Down at the Denver 22. Clock running. Broncos do not have any timeouts left. And you see it running down.
They've got to get up to the line of scrimmage and do that one more time, and this game is history.
And the Raiders will make it 4-0. Opening up this 83 season in very impressive fashion. Broncos dropped to 2 up and 2 down, won their first 2, beating Pittsburgh, and Baltimore lost to Philadelphia here last Sunday. And the victory by the Raiders, that will wrap it. Clock running down now. We're down to 5 seconds. The Los Angeles Raiders, with that outstanding defense, doing it again, defeating the Denver Broncos by the score of 22-7. Marv Albert and John Brody in Denver. Again, the final, Raiders 22, Broncos 7. After these words, we'll go to...
Job for several years.